Myanmar, also known as Burma, has long been considered one of the most repressive and isolated countries in the world. More recently, though, the nation has moved towards some degree of democracy. Since President Thein Sein took office in March 2011, his government has freed hundreds of political prisoners and eased state control of the economy. It also took steps towards political reconciliation with ethnic minorities. Perhaps the biggest sign of hope is the government's decision to allow political opposition. It has paved the way for Aung San Suu Kyi, leader of the pro-democracy opposition, to return to political life. She was released from detention in November 2010 after spending 15 years under house arrest. Her party won 43 of the 45 open seats in Parliament last April. This week, she arrived for her first official visit to the United States. Her trip comes as the Obama administration considers lifting remaining economic sanctions against her country. On Wednesday, she accepted the Congressional Medal of Honor and met with President Obama for the first time. I spoke with her earlier today at the Plaza Hotel here in New York, and here is that conversation. Thank you for taking time in a very busy schedule to see us.
It's a pleasure.
I have two simple questions. Where are you in your life at this moment, and where is your country?
Well, they're not simple questions at all. They're most difficult questions to answer. Well, if you ask me where I am, of course, I can say simply I'm here. But I think well, my country and we are all at the beginning of the path to democracy. I've often said that this is something that we'll have to construct for ourselves. It's not there smooth and waiting. It's something that we have to build up as we go along.
Why do you believe that's true now?
Because we have been given a chance to do it. Previously, we were not given the chance even to start building that path. We had been struggling for the opportunity to start out on such a path.
And when you talk to the president and you ask him about lifting sanctions, do you believe he will do it?
Actually, I talked to the members of Congress about it, and I believe they will do it, because
the president clearly understood that.
I think the members of the US Congress have Burma's best interests at heart, and the reason why they instituted sanctions is because they believe that it would help Burma to proceed to its democracy. And now that I think most of them understand it's time for sanctions to be lifted, to give us an opportunity to stand on our own feet, I'm sure they will be happy to do it.
You are sure that they will do that?
I said I'm sure they will be happy to do it.
Do you believe they will check in with the government and find out what's the right time to announce it and then announce it?
I'm sure the US Congress is quite capable of deciding when the time is right for them.
Has it been for you any kind of delicate balance to be able to, on the one hand, express your great passion for democracy, and at the same time, the delicate balance because you have a government in Burma today that seems to be moving that way? I mean, are there tensions for you at all? A delicate balance?
Of course, politics is always a delicate balance, but the fact that I believe we should go towards democracy and that this present government also feels the same way is, I think, good.
Why are you convinced the government feels that way?
Because I think they have discovered that the previous military regime form of government did not really work well.
And your impression of the present leadership?
I think we have to look at the whole of the government now, not just at the executive. We must look at the executive and we must look at the legislature. I don't mention the judiciary because that's very weak in Burma at the moment, and that's what we're trying to build up. But I think we have to look at both the executive and the legislature, and then we can come to the conclusion how far we are proceeding towards democracy. I can speak more for the legislature because I happen to be in it, and I think it's going in the right direction.
How and why did democracy become so deeply embedded in your heart and brain?
I was born into, well, I was not born into a democratic Burma because I was born before independence, but on independence, Burma was a parliamentary democracy, and that is the country where I grew up. By the time the military regime took root in Burma, I was elsewhere abroad in countries where democracy was practiced. So I have lived with democracy practically all my life. And while I've always accepted that it's not a perfect system, it does allow for people to enjoy both security and freedom. And that, to me, is the right balance.
Are you comfortable with the fact that the world sees you as a symbol?
I don't know that the word is comfortable. It's embarrassing sometimes.
Yes.
It's embarrassing.
Why is it embarrassing?
Perhaps I'm shyer than you think I am.
Probably so. But I mean, at the same time, does it give you a sense of responsibility? Because the sacrifices you have made to stand for your beliefs have been huge.
I have tried to keep my sense of responsibility quite apart from people's opinion of me. If you let people's opinions of yourself, whether favorable or unfavorable, impact on your sense of responsibility, then it's not as firm as it ought to be.
But all of us who admire you and all the people who have watched this evolution in Burma, what is it that causes you to be so steadfast in your commitment?
I suppose there must be something in my genes, but also there was my upbringing. I've said repeatedly that my mother brought me up to develop a very strong sense of duty. And I can't say that I have never failed in my duties. I can't say that there have not been times when I chose to do what was easier or what I thought was more.
When was that?
Oh, many times in my life. So, for example, when reading a novel instead of studying for the exams and so on. I mean, and many times.
You will not be judged critically for that.
Well, I think I have chosen my own personal inclinations above my duties for short periods of time. But always I knew, I was aware of what I was doing when I was doing it. So I would return to my duties, as it were.
Was religion a significant factor?
Religion is a significant factor in my life, I suppose in the life of all who believe in any particular religion.
In moments that you were weak and wondered if you could go on?
No.
Never?
No, because it was not a matter of weakness or strength. It was just a matter of doing as much as you were able to do.
You get up in the morning, you say, this is what I have to do, and you go do it.
Well, I have a very strict timetable, and that helps. You get up in the morning, you know exactly what you have to do, and so you go ahead.
And so what's the most important thing for you to do now?
I have a number of different responsibilities. I have my duties as leader of my party,
Yes.
and then I have my duties as a member of the legislature, and I also have my duties as a chairman of the Committee for the Rule of Law and Tranquility, and I have also my duty as somebody who is trusted by our people. So I have different sets of duties, and I have to try to discharge them all as best I can.
Talk about this level between leadership and trust, and this, how that happens and how significant it is. You just said it, the trust of your people.
I've always thought that if you are in a position of leadership, you have to be honest with the people that you're who have accepted your leadership. That is to say, you must not give them false hopes, but at the same time you have to be able to inspire them to keep on going when times are hard. But you cannot do that through lies. You cannot do that through false promises. You have to be honest. And I have found that the people of Burma respond very well to this. They like honesty. I think people everywhere do. They like honesty. They like openness.
Transparency and
Yes.
authenticity.
Yes. Very simple, but not that simple to achieve.
Well, yeah, but never not losing sight of the goal.
Of course not, but you have to be honest about your goal too.
And your goal is?
As I said, democracy, by which I mean a system of government which not only gives the people rights, but where the people are made to be prepared to shoulder their responsibilities.
Do you think that your country has, does it have within its DNA, the desire for freedom?
Yes, there is this desire to be free, but there is not always the preparedness to shoulder the responsibilities of freedom. And this is what we have to work at as well. I've always said that it's a cultural weakness of our society that makes it that we're not used to negotiated compromise. And this is something we have to learn.
Have to learn negotiated compromise.
Yes.
That you can't have everything?
Yes, we can't have everything. You have to see the other person's point of view, and you have to settle for something that is best for everybody on the whole.
And your relationship today with the president?
I hope I have a good relationship with him. I think I do, but of course he must speak for himself.
China.
Yes.
Do you think China accepts and is pleased by change and progress in Burma?
I think China has its concerns about the engagement of the United States in Burma. But
what does that mean?
Because I think there are, well, people talk about the strategic distrust between the United States and China.
Right.
And obviously
and zones of influence and things like that.
And so on. And because we are a very close neighbor just across the border from China, obviously they will be concerned about what is going on within our country. But I do not think that we should look upon Burma as a bone of contention. I would like to think of Burma as an area where China and the United States can strengthen their understanding for one another.
Would you be pleased or displeased if I said of you, you know, that there are two things about you? One, it is a passion for democracy, we've talked about. Secondly, that you are a hard-headed politician.
Oh, I hope I'm a hard-headed politician. I would need to be to survive what's coming in the years ahead.
And that hard-headed politician sees the role of Burma today in the world as what?
We are in a very unique position. We're between China, we're between India, we're on the edge of South Asia and Southeast Asia.
And therefore you can
And therefore we can be a country which is a success story for everybody all around.
And you're here in New York, one of the capitals of capitalism. And I assume that part of the message of is come to Burma, invest in Burma, you know, believe in Burma. We are now on a path of openness, transparency.
I don't think this is my main message. I want investment in Burma, but in the right way. I'm not just saying invest in Burma. What I'm saying is invest in Burma in the right way.
What's the right way?
The right way is what I call democracy-friendly, human rights-friendly investment. And if you ask me for that, it has to begin with transparency. We want to know what kind of people are investing in Burma and for what reason and how. Whether in the long run it will be as beneficial for our people as for the investors themselves. Of course, they must benefit from the situation.
How is the cause of human rights today in your judgment, and where is it at its weakest?
The cause of human rights will have to be supported for a long time. I don't think there will ever come a time when we can say that human rights are what they ought to be everywhere all over the world. I think there will always be areas where human rights trips up, even in working democracies.
How important is the idea that a world understands the plight of people and the fact that they know the world hears their voice, to giving them both the strength and the opportunity to achieve their own goals?
Understanding is the basis of a good human relationship. So if we want a good relationship with the world, our country or other countries, then we have to build up understanding. But it doesn't happen just by sitting and wishing for it. We have to work towards it.
Thank you very much, and much success as you go to see the Secretary General of the United Nations.
Thank you.
Thank you.